What happens when royalty collides with reality on daytime television, and one of the most beloved talk show hosts in America is forced to make a choice that shocks the entire studio audience? In just 34 seconds of unfiltered comments, a prince goes from honored guest to escorted out the building, and what unfolds in between is a masterclass in grace under pressure that nobody saw coming. Jennifer Hudson's show has always been a place of warmth, laughter, and genuine connection. She's the host who makes everyone feel like family, the woman who rose from nothing to become everything, and her studio is sacred ground for honest conversation. So when Prince Harry walked onto that stage, the audience erupted in applause. They were ready for charm, for stories, for that famous royal charisma. What they got instead was something none of them could have predicted. The interview started off smooth enough. Jennifer, glowing in a stunning emerald dress, welcomed Harry with her signature smile. The audience was buzzing with excitement. This was supposed to be a feel-good conversation, a chance to hear about his life, his experiences, his journey. Jennifer opened with a softball question, something about his recent projects and what he's been focusing on lately. Harry settled into his chair, and right away, something felt different. There was an edge to his demeanor, a kind of restlessness that didn't match the friendly atmosphere Jennifer had created. He answered the first question quickly, almost dismissively, talking about how difficult it is for people to understand the pressures of his position. Jennifer nodded politely, trying to keep things light. "I think a lot of people can relate to feeling misunderstood," Jennifer said warmly, her voice full of that empathy she's known for. "We all go through moments where we feel like the world doesn't quite get us." Harry leaned back, and that's when the first hint of trouble appeared. "With all due respect, Jennifer," he said, his tone sharp, "I don't think you can really compare your experiences to mine. The level of scrutiny I face, the global stage I'm on, it's just not the same thing." The audience went quiet. You could feel the temperature in the room shift. Jennifer's smile never wavered, but her eyes showed a flash of something. Surprise, maybe. She's a professional, though, so she pushed forward. "You're absolutely right that everyone's journey is unique," she responded, her voice steady and kind. "I was just trying to find some common ground. We're all human at the end of the day." Harry shifted in his seat. "See? That's exactly what I'm talking about. People always try to bring things down to this level of false equality. Some of us carry burdens that others simply cannot comprehend." Jennifer paused. The audience was dead silent now. This wasn't going the way anyone expected. She took a breath and decided to pivot, asking him about his charitable work, something positive and uncontroversial. But Harry seemed determined to make this difficult. "Charity's complicated," he said, cutting her off mid-question. "A lot of what passes for charity in America is really just people trying to make themselves feel better. No real impact, just photo opportunities." Jennifer's eyebrows raised slightly. "Well, I think there are a lot of organizations doing incredible work," she said carefully. "I've seen firsthand how charitable efforts can transform communities." "That's a nice sentiment," Harry replied, his voice dripping with condescension. "But sentiment doesn't change systems. And frankly, most talk shows, including this one, are more interested in entertainment than actually addressing real issues." The audience gasped. Some people looked at each other in disbelief. Jennifer sat up straighter, and for the first time, her smile faded just a little. This was her show, her house, and this guest was openly insulting everything she'd built. "I understand you might feel that way," Jennifer said, her voice still controlled, but firmer now. "But I've worked very hard to create a space where real conversations can happen. Where people feel seen and heard." Harry laughed, actually laughed, and it wasn't a friendly sound. "Jennifer, let's be honest. This is a daytime talk show. You have cooking segments and celebrity gossip. Let's not pretend this is some kind of serious platform for change." The energy in the studio was electric now, but not in a good way. People were uncomfortable. Jennifer's team behind the cameras looked panicked. This was live television, and it was going off the rails fast. But Jennifer Hudson didn't get where she is by backing down. "I'm proud of what we do here," she said, her voice strong and clear. "We celebrate people. We share stories. We create joy. That matters. That has value." "To whom?" Harry shot back. "To housewives looking for a distraction? Please. The work I'm trying to do actually matters on a global scale." That was it. That was the line. You could see it in Jennifer's face. She'd been patient. She'd been professional. She'd tried to steer this conversation to safer waters. But disrespecting her audience, the people who show up every day to support her show, that wasn't going to fly. "I'm going to stop you right there," Jennifer said, and her voice had changed completely. Gone was the warm, welcoming host. This was Jennifer Hudson, the survivor, the fighter, the woman who doesn't let anyone diminish her or her people. The audience members here are not just housewives looking for a distraction. They are mothers, professionals, students, dreamers. They are people who work hard every single day, and they choose to spend their time with us. "I will not let you disrespect them." Harry looked genuinely surprised that she was pushing back. "I didn't mean to," he started, but Jennifer cut him off. "Yes, you did," she said firmly. "You've been condescending since you sat down. You've insulted my show. You've insulted our purpose. And now you've insulted the people who make this show possible. That's not okay." The audience burst into applause. They were on their feet, supporting their host. Harry looked around, clearly not expecting this reaction. He tried to recover. "I think you're being overly sensitive," he said, and that was possibly the worst thing he could have said. Jennifer stood up. "I am being appropriately protective of my space and my people," she said. "You came here as a guest, and you've shown nothing but disrespect." "I've tried to have a civil conversation with you. I've tried to find common ground, but you seem more interested in proving you're superior to everyone in this room." Harry stood up too, his face reddening. "This is absurd. Do you know who I am?" "I know exactly who you are," Jennifer replied, her voice like steel wrapped in velvet. "You're someone who was invited into my home, metaphorically speaking, and you've been rude to everyone here. Your title doesn't give you the right to treat people badly." The audience was going wild now, cheering for Jennifer. Harry looked around, seeming to realize for the first time that he'd badly miscalculated. He tried one more time. "I came here in good faith," he said, his voice rising. "I came here to have an intelligent conversation. And instead, I'm being attacked for speaking the truth." Jennifer shook her head. "No, you came here and immediately started talking down to everyone. There's a difference between speaking truth and being disrespectful. And right now, you're being disrespectful." Harry's jaw clenched. "I don't have to stand here and take this." "You're right. You don't," Jennifer said calmly. "In fact, I think it's time for you to leave." The studio went silent. Did she just ask a prince to leave? Yes. Yes, she did. Harry stared at her in disbelief. "Excuse me?" he said. "I'm asking you to leave my show," Jennifer repeated, her voice clear and unwavering. "This isn't working. You've made it clear you don't respect what we do here, and I'm not going to continue this interview." Harry's face went through several emotions: shock, anger, indignation. "You can't be serious," he said. "I am completely serious," Jennifer replied. "I've given you multiple chances to course correct, to have a respectful conversation. You've chosen not to take any of them. So, yes, I'm asking you to leave." The audience was absolutely losing it, applauding and cheering for Jennifer. She stood there, poised and powerful, not backing down an inch. Harry looked at the audience, then back at Jennifer, clearly trying to decide what to do next. "This is outrageous," he said, his voice tight with anger. Do you have any idea the opportunity you're throwing away? The credibility I bring to this show? Jennifer actually smiled at that, a small, knowing smile. I think we'll be just fine, she said. We've built this show on respect, kindness, and genuine connection. Those are things you can't fake. And they're things that matter more than any guest, no matter how famous. Harry pointed at her, his hand shaking slightly. You're making a huge mistake. People will hear about this. I'm counting on it, Jennifer said calmly. I want people to know that on this show, we stand up for ourselves and for our audience. We don't tolerate disrespect, regardless of who it comes from. The standoff continued for a few more seconds, tension crackling through the air. Finally, Harry turned sharply and started walking toward the exit. But he couldn't help himself. He turned back one more time. Your show is a joke, he said loudly, and everyone knows it. Jennifer didn't flinch. And yet, you wanted to be on it, she said smoothly. Interesting how that works. That stopped him cold. He had no comeback for that. The audience was on their feet now, a standing ovation for their host. Harry looked around one last time, seeming to finally understand how badly this had gone for him, and then he walked off the stage. Security quietly appeared to escort him the rest of the way out. Jennifer stood there for a moment, letting out a long breath. Then she turned to her audience with a real smile, not the polite professional one she'd been wearing, but a genuine, warm smile. Well, she said, and the audience laughed, the tension breaking like a wave. That was something. They cheered even louder. Jennifer sat back down in her chair, smoothing her dress. You know what? She continued. I want to say something. I never want to be disrespectful to anyone who comes on this show. I believe in treating people with kindness and dignity. But I also believe in standing up for what's right. And when someone comes into our space and disrespects all of you, the people who make this show what it is, I'm going to say something. The applause was thunderous. Jennifer's eyes were shining, emotion clear on her face. You all show up for us every single day. You support us. You laugh with us. You cry with us. You are not a distraction. You are the reason we do this. And I will always, always stand up for you. A woman in the front row was crying, and Jennifer noticed. She stepped down from the stage, something she almost never does during a show, and went to the woman. Are you okay? She asked gently. The woman nodded, wiping her eyes. Thank you, she said. Thank you for defending us. Jennifer hugged her. Always, she said simply. As she walked back to the stage, you could see the shift in the room. This wasn't just a talk show anymore. This was a moment where someone with power and influence chose to use it to protect people who didn't have as much. A moment where kindness won out over arrogance. A moment where a title and a famous name didn't mean you could treat people badly without consequences. Jennifer sat back down and looked directly at the camera. We're going to take a quick break, she said. And when we come back, we're going to celebrate all the good people doing good things in the world. Because that's what this show is really about. Not drama, not conflict, but lifting each other up. The audience cheered again as they went to commercial. Behind the scenes, producers were scrambling, trying to figure out what to do with the rest of the show. But Jennifer was calm. She knew exactly what she was doing. She'd protected her house, her audience, and her values. And that mattered more than any guest ever could. When they came back from break, Jennifer didn't address what had happened again. She didn't need to. Instead, she introduced a teacher who'd started a program to feed hungry kids in her district. Then, a young man who'd invented a device to help people with disabilities. Then, a choir from a local church that brought the whole studio to tears with their performance. This was the show Jennifer wanted to host. Not arguments and ego, but celebration and connection. The contrast couldn't have been clearer. Where Harry had brought negativity and condescension, these guests brought hope and inspiration. Where he had demanded special treatment, they expressed gratitude just for being there. Where he had looked down on the audience, they looked at them as equals, as fellow travelers in this life. Throughout the rest of the show, Jennifer was radiant. She was in her element, doing what she does best, making people feel seen, feel valued, feel important. And the audience responded with love and energy that filled every corner of that studio. As the show wrapped up, Jennifer delivered her closing remarks with particular emotion. "Thank you all for being here today," she said. "Thank you for your support, your love, your kindness. We're going to keep doing what we do, celebrating people, sharing stories, creating space for joy and connection. Because at the end of the day, that's what really matters. Not titles, not fame, not prestige, but how we treat each other, how we show up for each other, how we love each other." The audience gave her one final standing ovation. Jennifer stood there, taking it in, her hand over her heart. This was her show, her space, her family, and she'd protected it with grace, strength, and unwavering conviction. What started as a routine interview had become something much bigger. A statement about respect, about values, about what really matters in this world. Jennifer Hudson had faced down royalty and hadn't blinked. Not because she was trying to be confrontational, but because she knew her worth and the worth of everyone in that room. In those final moments, before the cameras stopped rolling, Jennifer looked out at her audience one more time. "Same time tomorrow?" she asked with a smile. They roared their approval. Yes, same time tomorrow, because this show, this space, this community Jennifer had built, it was bigger than any one guest. It was bigger than drama or controversy. It was about something real, something lasting, something that actually mattered. And as the lights dimmed and the audience filed out, still buzzing with excitement and pride, one thing was crystal clear. Jennifer Hudson had shown the world exactly what happens when you bring disrespect into a house built on love. You get shown the door, no matter who you are, no matter what title you carry, no matter how important you think you are. Because in Jennifer's house, respect isn't optional, it's required. And that's a lesson a prince learned the hard way on live television in front of millions, in a moment that nobody who was there will ever forget. The show had started with promise and ended with a powerful statement. Not all guests deserve a platform. Not all voices deserve amplification. And sometimes the most important thing a host can do is say no, to protect their space, their people, their values. Jennifer Hudson did exactly that. And in doing so, she reminded everyone watching what real strength looks like. It's not about raising your voice. It's not about pulling rank. It's about standing firm in your convictions, treating people with dignity, and never allowing anyone, no matter how powerful or famous, to diminish the worth of others. The interview that was supposed to showcase a prince instead showcased a queen. Not of birthright, but of character. Not of title, but of integrity. Jennifer Hudson, standing tall, standing strong, standing up for what's right. That's the real story of what happened that day. Not a prince getting kicked off a show, but a host showing the world what true leadership looks like. And that studio audience, those so-called housewives looking for a distraction, they witnessed something extraordinary. They saw someone defend them, fight for them, value them. They saw that their time, their presence, their support actually matters. They saw themselves reflected in someone who refused to let them be diminished. That's the power of what Jennifer created in that moment. Not just television, but community. Not just entertainment, but empowerment. Not just a show, but a statement about how we should all treat each other, regardless of status or circumstance. As the crew packed up and the studio emptied, the weight of what had happened began to settle in. This wasn't just another episode. This was a defining moment. The moment when Jennifer Hudson drew a line and said this far, no further. The moment when she chose her audience over a famous guest. The moment when she proved that respect is non-negotiable. And somewhere, walking out of that building, a prince learned that titles don't shield you from consequences. That arrogance has a price. That you can't talk down to people and expect them to just take it. He came in expecting deference and left humbled, escorted out, his appearance ending not with applause, but with rejection. Meanwhile, Jennifer remained. Strong, dignified, beloved. She'd face the storm and come out stronger. Her show would go on. Her audience would return. Her message would resonate. Because she'd shown something that transcends entertainment. She'd shown courage. She'd shown principle. She'd shown that sometimes the right thing to do is the hard thing to do. That day, in that studio, with those cameras rolling, Jennifer Hudson became more than a talk show host. She became a symbol of standing up for yourself and others, a symbol of knowing your worth, a symbol of refusing to compromise your values for anyone. The show was supposed to be about a prince. Instead, it became about something much more important. It became about all of us, about how we deserve to be treated, about what we should accept and what we should reject, about the power we have when we stand together, when we support each other, when we refuse to let anyone make us feel small. And that's the real story. Not scandal, not drama, not controversy for its own sake, but a moment of truth, a moment of strength. A moment that reminded everyone watching that respect is everything, kindness matters, and no one, absolutely no one, is too important to treat other people with basic human dignity. Jennifer Hudson knew that. Her audience knew that. And now, thanks to what happened on that stage, millions of others know it too. The lesson was clear, powerful, and unforgettable. And it all happened because one woman refused to let her house be disrespected. One woman stood up. One woman said enough. That's the story. That's what happened when royalty met reality on a daytime talk show and discovered that in America, respect is the only crown that really matters.